Hi, and welcome to Happy Tales. My name is Joni Geiger, and I'm the Executive Director of the Oshkosh Area Humane Society. And today we have...
Carrie Tetzloff. I'm the volunteer and foster care coordinator here at the shelter.
Great. And Terry, you're relatively new to the position, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the position and what you're doing?
Sure. Well, my job here at the shelter is to find foster care for animals, and I also recruit volunteers, I train volunteers, same thing for foster homes, recruit new people to take animals in and train them.
Sure, yeah. And it's a big job. It's full-time for you, obviously. And, you know, we really have a lot of volunteer core people, but we always need more. And you mentioned a little bit about life-saving, and I think we need to tell our viewers what we are when we talk about a life-saving shelter. And it basically just means we do not euthanize for space. But that also means we fill up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so when you talk about foster care, how does that work with life-saving?
Sure. Well, foster homes really allow us to expand the walls of the shelter out into the community. So when we fill up, we're able to place animals into homes. Right now we have approximately 102 animals out in foster care in the community. So that's 102 animals more than we can fit here in the building.
Right, absolutely. And obviously from a shelter perspective, we don't want to overcrowd. We don't want to be in a position where we're stacking animals in the hallway. Obviously it's very stressful for the animals. It's extremely hard for the staff and the cleaning and the disinfecting. And so again, that's where those foster care really, I mean, they save lives. They truly do. So today our focus is really going to be, the show is really going to be about foster care and really how much they mean to us, the foster care people, and the fact that we need more. And we're going to talk about some of the examples of animals that do go into foster care. So it's kind of one of those things where recruitment is sometimes not as easy as people would think. But why don't we talk about the benefits of fostering?
Sure. Well, benefits for the animals, a lot of the animals that go into foster care, they're not exposed to a lot of the illnesses that they could get here in the shelter.
Sure.
They're spared a lot of the stress that animals experience upon intake.
Sure.
They get a lot more socialization in foster care. It's a real comfort to them, and a lot of them learn skills that are useful for their adaptability while they're in their foster home.
Well, and I think that's a good example is because obviously if we place an animal into foster care and it's been there for a couple of weeks or even longer, that's a pretty exciting history to bring back, and as a prospective adopter we can say to them, well, this is what we know about this animal.
Absolutely.
We know about their habits and some of their little quirks and some of their personality, so it really does make them more adoptable.
It really does.
Yeah, it truly does, as far as like matchmaking and making those things work for people. So that's a big part of it as well. What is the benefit for people?
Oh, for people. Well, I can testify personally. I've been fostering since '07 now. It's just really rewarding to be able to give that gift, really of life to animals. These are animals that would traditionally be euthanized, and the shelter model most people are familiar with. That's an amazing gift to be able to give an animal that chance for a home. Also, it's just fun. It's really fun getting to watch the animals flourish in a home.
Sure.
If they're ill, it's just an amazing experience to watch them recover and get better. And the bond that you form with these animals is very strong.
Sure. And I think it's important to mention too, Carrie, that you know, we very often have people who feel really strongly about what the Humane Society does, that they want to support the Humane Society, but sometimes, you know, financially that's not always a possibility. But this is really a wonderful short-term way that they can help the shelter and in turn help animals.
Absolutely. We do have a few foster homes right now that have said, you know what, now's not a good time financially with the economic downturn. I can't afford my own pet, but this is a great opportunity for me to still have that amazing bond with an animal and the stress relief that it provides, and the shelter covers all the costs.
Right, absolutely. And I think that's important to mention. Let's talk about that. So what are we asking our foster homes to do as far as what, you know, from a supply perspective, or what they need to do for us, and what do we give them in return?
There are no supplies that the foster home has to provide on their own. Some foster homes choose to use their own supplies, but we absolutely don't require that.
Right.
We'll provide the food, the litter boxes, scoops, any kind of toys, enrichment items, treats, you name it, anything the foster home feels they need to provide
I
care
think
for that
that's
animal.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, I think people, you know, because you talk about like how important it is for people to do this for us, but we're not asking them to give anything other than their time and some love and provide a room. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
We just ask that you have one room available in your home to isolate the pet at least at first. And also we require that animals also be living in the home are neutered or spayed and current on their vaccinations.
right, absolutely. What is the average time for foster care? I mean, is it how long does it go, or?
It really depends. Let's say you're taking a 7-week-old kitten into foster care. That kitten probably only needs to be in foster care for 1 or 2 weeks. They need to be big enough to be neutered and spayed and come back in the building.
Okay.
You could maybe be fostering a condo cat. They typically need 4 weeks as the average turnaround time. And sometimes we have kitties that need longer care. Perhaps if a kitty is really stressed out here, they might have a severe upper respiratory infection. Perhaps they're we have a couple kitties with feeding tubes in foster care right now. Those are going to be longer term commitments.
Sure.
We're looking at least a month on those kitties.
Sure. Okay. And so can people pick and choose what they want to do? You know, like, you know, if a person comes in and maybe they don't feel as comfortable with some of the medical issues, is this, you know, so how do you make that so that people can say, I can do this, but I prefer not to do this?
Absolutely. You are able to pick and choose,
Right.
and a lot of our foster homes have niches that they really like to stay in. Some foster homes really prefer to just work with under-socialized kittens. Some only like adults. Some don't want to do medical. Some enjoy medical. They have a lot of experience with
Sure.
medical. We have a couple vet techs that are foster homes
That's
for
great,
us.
yeah.
So they do a lot of our more intense medical stuff.
Right.
You can be as specific as you want when you tell me what you want to foster. I have, for example, 3 hamsters out in foster right now. That person only wanted to foster hamsters and guinea pigs.
Cool.
Well, there you go. Perfect match for her. So
Yeah.
it doesn't come up often, but
Yeah.
when it does, she's the first person I call.
Well, that's pretty nice. I mean, you know, and I think it's important to ask our viewers too, if they're going to consider foster care, we need all types of individuals. You know, we need families, obviously, because it's great to socialize with the kids, but we could also use people maybe that are in the medical field, maybe perhaps nurses, doctors, anybody that has some experience in there, because I heard you say feeding tubes, I heard you say some things like that, and obviously we want people to be comfortable doing those kinds of things. So we really do need continued foster homes, because I think sometimes people reach a plateau where they say, you know, I've done this for a while, you know, it's like I need a little break. You know, I want to do it again, I want to continue, but I need a little break. So obviously you're continuing to turn over foster homes all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of our foster homes are seasonal. Some can only do it in the summer. Some can only do it in the winter.
Sure.
And also just that, you know, that feeling to want to take a break, that comes up
Sure,
somewhat
sure.
often, and I want to accommodate the foster homes
Okay.
and allow
Well,
them to do that.
I think what we'd like to do now, Carrie, is probably show the viewers like some of the animals that we have available here at the shelter, examples more or less of animals that are looking for foster care.
That'd be great.
All right. Okay, Carrie, here we are, and obviously we are showing an example of some foster home or kitties that we're looking at. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. We have a mama cat. She's about 2 years old, and 4 of her 7-week-old babies. They need a foster home very short term for probably about 1 or 2 weeks until they're big enough to be neutered or spayed. Believe it or not, we can neuter and spay at 2 pounds.
Right.
So these guys are almost there. They just need a temporary home until they get big enough. We really don't want them to get sick while they're in the building.
Sure, and I think it's kind of important too to like talk a little bit about the fact that obviously in a home environment, they get handled, they get socialized. These are all really, really good things for these guys.
Absolutely.
So it's good for mama, it's good for the babies. So, and who could not love these
Look at
faces?
that face.
Oh, you're so cute. So, okay, well, this is good to know. So, is this a majority of animals that we get in at this? Well, you know, obviously kitten season is.
Yes.
So,
During the summer and fall months, we have just a plethora of kittens. Right now, about 75% of the animals in foster are kittens
Yeah.
or nursing moms.
yeah. So, so obviously, you know, like I said, who doesn't love kittens? So, so this would be something that we would really need help with, right, Carrie?
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good. Let's move on to somebody else. We've got another cat that you said is a good candidate for foster care. And why don't you kind of share what his story is?
Sure, Mr. Kiki, he is a long-haired black kitty. He had cystitis, an inflamed bladder, when he came in.
Okay.
He has recovered. He's received medical treatment. At this point, he's just on a special diet, and he needs a foster home for a condo.
Okay.
He's also not a big fan of other cats, so
Okay.
he would really like to be an older cat, or an only cat, and a condo would suit him in that way too.
Okay. Now, why does he need a foster home and not somebody else? Why would you choose him as a candidate? You talked about these condos. Maybe you could explain to our viewers what a condo is.
Sure. A condo, they're actually made out of shower stalls here in the building. It's a place where kitties that are overwhelmed in a community room or are on a special diet or just want to be an only cat live.
Right.
And they have all the things they need in there, a cat tower, a bed, their food and water, toys, and all that kind of thing. Much bigger than a metal cage. So in an interest in not allowing that cat to sit in a metal cage for weeks and weeks waiting for a condo,
Right.
we'll put them in a foster home until one opens up.
I think you made a good point. And we only have 10 of the condos. And obviously, if we know a kitty's going to be here somewhat long term, it really isn't right to keep them in a cage forever and ever. I mean, that's really a tough life.
It is.
And we know that. You know, obviously, environment is extremely important. Territory is extremely important. So for a kitty that is waiting for a condo, that would be a nice or a good candidate for a foster home. Okay. And Mr. Kiki is one of those. So
Absolutely.
great, fantastic. Carrie, this is another dog that we have that we're looking for foster care. Why don't we talk a little bit about this?
Sure, this is Chris. She is a little pit bull mixed puppy.
She
We
is.
are full. Our kennels are just absolutely full to the max. So we thought she'd be a good candidate for foster so she can learn some social skills
Right.
and she can learn some obedience.
Right.
It'd be great to match her up with someone that's had a puppy before. Maybe
Right.
they've gone through this stage with a dog and they know how to get her some of the skills that'll help her become
Sure.
more adoptable.
And I think that's, you made a good point here. Again, this is a critical time for a dog when they're this young. This is when they're learning social skills. This is when a lot of the information that they're processing is extremely important to them. You'll notice that I'm teaching this little peewee to sit for us right now. See, look at, oh, bright dog, lots of fun. But you know, we can start on house training. We can start on doing all those kinds of really good things that puppy can learn now, and that will make. Is it a girl? That will make her a really nice adult dog. So
Absolutely.
being socialized. Now she came in as a stray. She actually was, I believe, abandoned in an apartment.
She was.
For 3 days. She was actually quite hungry when she got here. You sit for me, honey. See? Oh. And we're showing you how to sit here. See, look at, she waits for this. So we want to reward this really good behavior. But this is some of those things that obviously we think that she would benefit from being in a home environment. She's a really nice dog. It'd be nice if a person had another dog so she could learn some skills with another
Absolutely.
dog. Now, do we usually do dogs for foster care or cats, or what is the ratio?
The vast majority of our fosters are cats, especially during the summer months, the warmer months of the year, and well into the fall. But occasionally we do need a foster home for a dog, whether it be for a medical reason, for space, or to work on a behavior issue.
Yes, and I think it's important to note too that obviously you talked about, oh, this is such good behavior. You talked about the fact that it's mostly for cats. Cats breed faster. The truth of the matter is we get 4 times as many cats as we do dogs, and I think that in order for us to address those numbers, we have to have foster care. We just have to. Now, this little girl, I should mention too, in case anybody is interested in doing foster care for her. Thank you, honey, you ate it all. She does have Demodex, which is a little skin condition. This is not anything that's contagious to people or other dogs or other animals. This is just something that basically she's going to need a shot for, and that will help clear that up. But that's just basically, it's kind of something that's typical sometimes in the breed. She is just a cutie. She really is a doll. So, anyways, like I said, this is a really good candidate for foster care, and I think puppies. It's important for puppies to get out and socialize and be with people as quickly as possible. A shelter environment is not as healthy as a home.
Absolutely.
So, okay. All right. Well, let's move on.
Sounds great.